That's right. AEW made an announcement, and the usual part of the internet community that goes nuts has decided it's a terrible idea, and I wanted to talk about that and Dynamite. Because firstly, the Dynamite was a great show. Really enjoyed it. The MGF Hurt Syndicate storyline is lighting up my life. But before all this, AEW also announced their second residency. Can't remember what it is now, but they're going to Philadelphia, they're going to Chicago. Kind of makes sense they're going to both these territories because they are hot wrestling cities. I think the Philadelphia one is from the 2300 arena, I think it's called now, where ECW used to perform. I performed in that arena, which is absolutely redonkulous. And then Chicago, as we saw last night, is just a place that all wrestling companies can go over and over again because the Chicagoans, is that correct? Love their pro wrestling. Now, I'm not saying you have to like this. I'm not saying you don't have to like this. You've certainly allowed your opinion on it. But where I get lost and where I feel like the conversation needs to sort of be thrown out the window is where people go, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing this. This can't be good for their bottom line. This can't be good for their finances. What's going on with the money? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I don't understand why that is what wrestling fandom has become about. This ties in, I just said it. I like this episode of Dynamite, and when the ratings come out later, you may notice I never talk about ratings. I mean, we'll sort of use them here and there as interesting statistics, but we certainly don't go tribalistic about it. But I know, through experience, that now I've said that I enjoyed the AEW show, and it happens both ways too. We're just focusing on All Elite Wrestling today. That if it comes in with I'm not even going to say a number, but a number that some people deem not to be correct, I will get people going, well, how could you enjoy it when only this many people watched it? It hurts my brain. And it hurts my brain when fans are worried about money. I want AEW, WWE, Ring of Honor, New Japan, Impact, all these companies to be successful forever. Because one, if they don't, people lose their jobs. And I'm not insane. I don't want somebody to lose their employment. But also, it's good for wrestling, and it's just a positive thing. And I like positive things in my life. But it makes no difference to me. I don't care how much money any wrestling company is making. I don't care what they do in the ratings, other than from an intrigue point of view. My main source of fandom, of support, of just taking my enjoyment time and spending it on a product is, did I enjoy it? Did I not enjoy it? Would I watch it again? Blah, blah, blah. Now, there's nothing wrong with getting in the nitty gritty. We do it on ups and downs. Make sure you check out my review show over on What Culture Wrestling. Please subscribe to me and subscribe to them too, because I do freelance for What Culture, as you know. But it's not the be-all and end-all, and it never should be. Now, I understand a lot of this comes from a place that's not real. Everyone just wants to argue over the counter at each other, and if they met up for real in person, they would probably all be quite polite and quite shy. That's usually what you find in reality. But I don't understand why you can be critical of something because you think it's going to be, or you think it's a cost-cutting measure. Or AEW's only doing this for a cost-cutting measure. All right, good, smart. I hope the person that installed that benefits the rewards and it all helps. They're only in these places for like 6 shows maximum. That's not a make or break. That's not a do or die. And I would bet, given that it is Philadelphia and Chicago, they'll have a run of sellout shows. And Carl Fletcher said this in an interview. He said, now that we have gone to the small arenas, the more intimate arenas, and we're selling those out, it just pumps you up as a performer. It gets you more excited. And that just stands to reason. If you're running a 10,000 seater building with only 3,000 people, and then you run a 3,000 people with 3,000 in it, as I stumble over my words, the atmosphere is going to be better. When you walk out there, it's just going to jazz you up so much or more. And that's the same with all kind of sports. It's not a wrestling thing. That's a life thing. Like, I'm very lucky and very blessed to do wrestling in my real life. Is that a saying? I don't know. And when you walk out and there's 800 people going nuts and it's packed to the rafters, you get a better feeling than if it's, I don't know, 20 people, but you're in a big auditorium. But on the flip side, if you were going to perform in front of 20 people and there's nowhere else for them to go because you've totally sold out your 20-seater building, you must be doing this in your kitchen, and they're really loud, you have a great time because you have that connection. And that's what wrestling is all about. So I only see it as a net positive. I think the run of shows that AEW has been doing in the quote-unquote smaller venues has absolutely benefited the product because it's taken away these stupid pictures that people take. Oh, look at all the non-fans. That's what you're doing with your life? One day you're going to be on your deathbed. You need to stop doing this. Also, those pics aren't real. A lot of them are taken before even people get in there. A lot of them are taken around the hard cam when no one's ever going to sit there because you can't for technical reasons. So no, people ask me what I thought about it. I think it's a really fun idea, and we'll see how it works. I think it was Arlington, Texas, when we did the last one for the Collision tapings, and I'm presuming they did that as a litmus test. Is it good? Is it bad? And they must have got such positive feedback. They're like, well, now we'll apply it to the quote-unquote A show, which is Dynamite. Gotta stop doing quote-unquote. It's the dumbest thing in the world. So I hope we get more stuff like this. I love the fact that WW and AEW feel completely different at the moment. It means I can get my feel from all sides of pro wrestling, and long may it continue. Genuinely, I want all these weird quirks to try try. And if this doesn't work, all right, no one do it again. As long as the shows are good, as long as the 2 hours on a Wednesday and the 2 hours on a Saturday, sometimes Thursday, manage to make me go, woohoo, like Mario, I'm a happy man and I can move on. I'll move on with my life. And it's not really going to change anything anyway, because sometimes we've seen shows with 50,000 people and they suck because the moment to moment what we're seeing in the ring is no good. So I understand these conversations are never going to end. I understand I'm almost flaming the fires by talking about them. But we've got to chat about something, and I think we should all be allowed to have our opinion. In my opinion, this is a waste of time. And one day when you're on your deathbed, you may have a couple of minutes when you're going, shouldn't have done that. It's a total error, and now I can't get those minutes back. But yes, AEW Dynamite, I think my favourite thing, it's not technically true, the thing that stood out the most for me was the MJF Hurt Syndicate thing. It's just the best. It's exactly what I want from wrestling. Don't come into my house and tell me All Elite Wrestling don't have stories, because they absolutely do. But the MJF character is just, he's one of my favourites. I said this on my social media too, because I'm a massive geek. But the fact he's been acting all tough, like I can be in the Hurt Syndicate, and then he does that interview with Renee Paquette when he feels like he's been caught out by MVP a little bit. So this next decision, before he's even thought it out, is I'm going to hide behind a table. I love the fact that it was done in the gorilla position, right, behind the curtain, because it means MJF knew he had to go out there. I'm speculating here, obviously. I'm adding little nuances in. Realised he didn't want to do this because he's going to get beaten up, so he hides behind the table behind Tony Khan and Jerry Lynn. Tony Khan rats him out instantly, which was genuinely hilarious. Jerry Lynn rolls his eyes like, why do I have to battle with this stuff? I'm trying to produce a show. And Shelton Benjamin essentially drags MJF to the ring. He then finds out they are going to accept him as he celebrates like he's won the world title, which is what Excalibur says. And there's even more. He goes straight back to MJF. As soon as he thinks, oh, it's okay, calm down, I have to sign a contract, my lawyer's going to look over it. It's wonderful. It's brilliant. Of course he's not going to get in. They're going to absolutely brutalize him next week, probably when Cedric Alexander debuts for AEW. And given how good the Hurt Syndicate has been out of the flames, or the ashes, of the Hurt business, I want those four to get a proper run. Shelton Benjamin, I don't want to say he's improved, he was always good, but he's never given the right opportunity in WWE, as we can now see. Bobby Lashley's always been great. MVP is just a GOAT in many ways. And Cedric Alexander, I think, will finally get the spotlight to remind us what he's capable of and not put him in a janitor outfit, Gary the Garbutt, whatever it was. Let's not go back to that. It's 2019 WWE, which, as far as I'm concerned, is objectively bad. It's a stupid thing to say, but I've said it now. But I absolutely love that. Love the opening tag team match, Will Ospreay and Hangman Adam Page against Takeshita and Josh Alexander. I said this on the review show too. I don't think they needed to win, personally. They're not a real team. And even though they're a brand new team, Takeshita and Josh Alexander have still won matches. And if nothing else, they have like the headline of the Don Callis family. And I think you could have had Will cost Adam or Adam cost Will, and that would have tied into their pay-per-view match, even though I get it, right? Tony Khan probably went, well, I don't really want any of them to lose because it may give away what's going to happen at Double or Nothing. This does keep it more shades of grey. And of course, Will Ospreay accidentally clocked Hangman at the end of that match, thinking it was Josh Alexander. I did have a tee-hee moment there because I can't help myself. I love wrestling, but I do watch it in a very silly way, I suppose. What does Will Ospreay care? He told him a week ago, you suck, Hangman and Page. You won't even do the media. Although maybe he did it on purpose. Maybe it's mind games, so maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. But I love these kind of matches. I know they're not everybody's cups of tea, but I watch it from a timing perspective, and I watch it from, and of course, an enjoyment perspective once again. But the way they move, the way they're always there for everything, the basing, the diving, the slams, the moves, whatever you want to call it, it's great. It's just good. It really is next level stuff. And the fact we get this on free TV, I think we often forget about, because the business has evolved to such extent that it's like anything, right? If all of a sudden you get free ice cream every day, I tell you, man, by month 6, you're not even going to appreciate that free ice cream because it's just going to become part of your day-to-day routine. But just great stuff. Love the women's four-way as well. That totally turned me round. I think we talked about this. I thought, well, it still is dumb on a certain level, depending on how deep you want to get into it. But Toni Storm, not even Toni Storm, but the women's title being up for grabs, or the number one contendership being up for grabs in a tournament, which is still going on. And then you're also having number one contender matches. I like to look at it from a real point of view. You'd be like, well, why did I enter the tournament? But it's just Toni Storm, this character, because she has done it over and over again. I imagine this is a Tony Khan idea, and it worked. This is why you should never get too ahead of yourself. Although you do have to give your opinion in real time as well. Of course you do, as long as you're happy to retract that when you learn more. But her doing it all the time because she's just so like, yeah, I'll kick all your asses, and it always being four ways, it won me over. And then when Toni Storm is coming to the ring, and the commentary team would be like, oh my God, she's so brave, she's just a badass. I'm like, well, yeah, you are, because the proof is in in the pudding. She's also taken on, who was it, Mina Shirakawa, AZM, or AZM, whichever you want to say it with my stupid British accent, and Sky Blue. That's awesome as well. Mina's now in the company properly. AZM just won that New Japan Strong title from Mercedes, so that tied in. And Sky Blue had a horrific comeback from her ankle or leg injury, so hell yeah, that's inspiring. Of course it was always going to be good. I think this one may have been better than last week's one, which is saying something. And you had the surprise ending with Mina getting the most devastating move and all the sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up on Toni Storm for the 1-2-3, which is also a courageous decision. You have two other people you could have beaten, but not beating them is good because Sky Blue's just come back and AZM has just sort of entered the company. Mina needed that win. You can now do it at Double or Nothing, and Toni Storm can get a win back. That's great. It's so simple. And you have everything afterwards with Mercedes Moné attacking. That tied into New Japan, so the AEW New Japan universe grows. And then Jamie Hayter's here. She takes out Mercedes, puts her in the statement maker. Whoops, bang, here we go. Double or Nothing round the corner. Jamie Hayter's look has become a topic of conversation recently. I can't remember who said it, and they're allowed their opinion. I just disagree with it, but I'm sure they disagree with me too. But they said she doesn't look like a star. I think it's exactly what she looks like. Like, people say, oh, you got to look modern. I disagree. You just got to stand out. You just got to have something about you. And she dresses like she's from the 70s or 60s. I'm not 100% sure on the date, because again, I'm a walking buffoon. But I think as soon as she walks out, she looks totally different. If we're going to talk about a stupid airport test, you much more look at her than someone that was dressed modern, to use that term, because everyone dresses modern, whatever that means. So I really like it, and I wouldn't change it at all. I kind of skipped over the Hurt Syndicate and Top Flight match. It is what it is. I do think we need to build more credible contenders for the Hurt Syndicate. Like, even if it is Dustin Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, or it's, who is it, Leo Rush and Axel Andre, no one's ever going to believe they're going to beat the Hurt Syndicate. And if you did, though it would be fun in the moment, you're kind of throwing everything away that we have done with Bobby Lashley and co. So I wouldn't do that. So we just need more teams. It's the same it's like the Raw tag team division we talked about the other day. We just need more time with it, more promos, more stories. I imagine that will happen after we cut the MJF stuff, which has been awesome. So we wait and see. And I guess the other big thing to talk about would be the main event, which really felt like a main event. Samoa Joe, John Moxley. Samoa Joe has all the power in his fingertips. You can believe it. I totally believe he could win. He's not going to win, but it's Samoa Joe, so I will never count him out. I mean, it was vicious. I say that, it wasn't as violent as some AEW matches we've seen. What I do like about AEW, though, is if you tell you're getting a stipulation match that has an edge to it, not that edge, he's now Adam Copeland, it's going to deliver. You're going to get blood, you're going to get some aggressive moments. Although this one really relied more on building up anarchy in the arena, and it was hilarious. So essentially, it's just a bunch of nonsense. All the usual people are out there, the Death Riders and Willow Nightingale and Powerhouse Hobbs, everyone's being thrown around, and in the confusion, especially because Samoa Joe's about to win with the Kikina clutch, out comes Gabe Kidd of all people, who I've wrestled, by the way, a long, long time ago, but that made me laugh. He slides the briefcase into the ring. John Moxley twonks it 1, 2, 3. Now, there is a disappointing aspect to that. I am of the opinion that AEW are kind of making it on purpose a little bit groany, so that when he does lose it all in, he's definitely going to lose it all in. It's going to feel like a relief. I think they've balanced it a lot better the last few weeks, but a huge part of that is Samoa Joe, because you have someone you actually believe in that you can root for. Anyway, big schmoz happens. Young Bucks are there. Kenny Omega is being punched in the cut by Okada. He's one of my favourite characters, Okada. He really makes me chuckle. And then Swerve Strickland comes out and reminds us all, oh, I'm the coolest dude in wrestling. Scales up that cage like he's flipping Spider-Man. Does the stomp off the top, and then the cage comes up, everyone runs away, and Swerve announces anarchy in the arena for Double or Nothing, which I prefer than Blood and Guts, which was the rumour, because Blood and Guts is essentially a big cage match. We just saw a cage match, and so far there hasn't been one Anarchy in the Arena match that hasn't absolutely just brought me love into my life. I should have said joy, but I thought I've said joy a lot this video. But they always do something ridiculous. They always do something fun. The Young Bucks are usually a huge part of that, so they're in this. So I think it's going to be awesome. And then we're pretty much, in the all-in period, the all-in window. So we'll know whether it's Hangman Adam Page or Will Ospreay. And I think either one. Whoever wins is going to beat John Moxley, so it all depends on what the plan is going in for the rest of the year. But that's exciting because I don't want to say AEW will feel like it hits a reset, but I think the Death Riders will come to their end and we can do other things. And I would presume that Gabe Kidd is in there to replace Pac, who's very, very sadly injured. But it was a chaotic ending to Night Dynamite. And as a man that grew up on sort of chaos endings for Raw, and especially chaos ends for WCW Nitro during that sort of 96-97 period, I just loved it. I thought it was a really, really easy to watch show, apart from a few things that I personally would tighten up. But what do I know? Absolutely nothing. And I certainly don't know what's going on behind the curtain. So there could be reasons for all of this. But yes, I just thought it worked. I thought it was great. I found it intriguing. All the backstage stuff was good. Renee Paquette is brilliant at her job. Something that Dynamite is doing recently is you have people sort of get themselves over, for lack of a better term, backstage, and then they do their thing. So even if they are about to be crushed for some reason, at least they get to sort of wave their flag beforehand and establish themselves more as characters. And while Action Andretti and Lio Rush just turning up on Dynamite was a little weird, we may as well do it. Like, they are doing loads on Collision, so if you think there's worth to it, let them grow. And Lio Rush was even talking about his history with Bobby Lashley, which was, standing in the ring and talking about, flexing his glutes. I don't want to be that guy. Do you know what? It's such a bad gimmick, but they work so well together, somehow they made it click. That's why wrestling is the strangest thing ever. Otherwise, though, there was the cool thing with Nigel McGuinness that I do want to touch upon. I mean, FTR as the bad guys, such an inspired change. Stokely Hathaway is great. I've missed him from my TV. And the way they kind of worked Nigel McGuinness into accepting the tag team match with Daniel Garcia, dare I say it, felt a little bit real. Like, Nigel's like, no, we're commentators now. I told you, Tony, we should do this. But Danny Garcia's like, no, man, we got to take him down. And then FTR are just such big assholes that eventually, like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I'm all about having these kind of matches. I didn't talk about Ricochet, Zach Gown. Although those two things tied together. Like, the announcer being the wrestler, especially when they used to be a wrestler, always works. I know that WWE just does it. I don't care. Maybe they copied them. Maybe it's a coincidence. Nothing is wrestling is new. I don't care. Do I enjoy it on the day? Yes, all is fine. But there were another negative that people had was, I can't believe Zach Gown is back on TV. Why wouldn't you want Zach Gown to be back on TV? It's one episode of Dynamite, one episode of Collision. If you're like me, you remember him. He's an inspiring dude, and the match was great. They were smacking each other with prosthetic legs, which is just like, how did we get here? Ricochet tried to apply a figure four and didn't know what to do. It was goofy wrestling for life, but it worked for both characters. And again, Zack Cowan getting those near falls. You knew it wasn't going to happen, but you could close your eyes and believe. So doing the Nigel McGuinness match at the pay-per-view, doing this here, I don't want to repeat myself too much, but we get so much wrestling on TV. It cannot fall into just serious stuff. It cannot fall into the same thing over and over again. That would be so dull. And I massively respect the fact Tony Khan will reach out to these people from the past and put them on the TV, like Rhino last week. I think it just adds this really cool novelty to everything. And Triple H did it with Pat McAfee. Never stop doing that stuff. Even if you put it in the ring and it sucks, it doesn't matter. You move on to something else. You take your licks and you move on. Think of all the stuff that causes mad reaction online, like these residencies. No one's going to be talking about it from the weekend because something else is going to have drawn them away. So more for me for jumping on the bandwagon. But Dynamite to me is such an easy to watch show. And I really felt it today because of that MGF skit. And I was like, man, the character is so much fun. That's what I thought. And sometimes we forget that. And I don't know, I guess his real name is Maxwell Jacob Friedman, I suppose. But he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to put him in a position where he looks like a coward, essentially. But it made it more entertaining and it made it more fun. And that's what Ricochet has done too. And I know people, you don't say this about WWE. Go watch my Raw videos. It's exactly the same stuff, but I'm focusing on it. I hate the fact I have to caveat with it, but I do it for my own mental health. But honestly, really, really looking forward to it. I think we're in for a wild ride with pay-per-views and big events over the next few months, and bring it all to me. Because again, I think we're blessed to live in a world we can watch all this wrestling, and I get to talk about it and people actually care. What's that about? Something's gone terribly wrong. But your opinion is more important than mine, so make sure you do leave a comment down there and let me know what you think about all of this. Like the video, share the video, please do subscribe and hit that notification bell. Click that video for those Raw thoughts, whatever you want to call it. Seth Rollins' third man. Who's it going to be? It's not me. Otherwise, go to grillermind.com/Simon. Please do code Simon, get 10% off. Simon316 on all social media. Simon Miller on Cameo. Really cheap at the moment, like $10 or $12 or whatever. They're dirt cheap. Please come get one because I just enjoy doing them. Simon J. Miller on TikTok for a load of stuff, including my promo that I'm quite proud of and would like to share. ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller. Simon Miller, BigCartel.com. Keep enjoying wrestling. Don't let the negativity get you down. If you love something, it means you won. Keep it up, my friends. Goodbye.